colleagues from Volutone. We got Rob on the line here, which is great. Rob, I expect some good questions from you today. And actually, I could use you as the home base Volutone Simi Valley technician, if you will. And hopefully today we talk about what's been. Feel free to see. There you go. Hey, Bruce, how you doing? We will. Sonys are arriving now, which is part of our campaign here. So I was just telling Jason Savage earlier. The stuff is starting to arrive. I've got stock on 43s, 49s, the new ones. We've got over 20 85 inches out there, and over 20 75-inch TVs. So I'm sure most of the presentation today is going to kind of be based around what's arriving, the new panels, specifics and things like that. Since it's 9 o'clock now, so we're going to kind of roll into my presentation. But we also, I want to remind you that we have another webinar with Sony, with Jayson Savage next Friday. So this is kind of a two-parter. Love for all of you guys to join us on that. We will definitely be getting technical next Friday. So today is kind of an eye-opener on what's coming our way. So keep your questions as far as the technicality based on if you see something that Jayson is presenting, and I'll field these. Let's try to keep it to what we're seeing here on the screen, and then just know that we'll be diving deeper next Friday, 9 a.m. If you haven't registered, there'll be a registration link on the email that I send. So with that, I'm going to send everybody, all the attendees today, which we're up around 30 now. I'll send everybody an email at 4 o'clock today. And that email will consist of the recording of this training and the registration links for next week as well. And we'll have our own line listings of all the Sony product and a direct link to not only Volutone, but MRI, okay, AllNet, CPD, and all of our partners. So you'll see the links there. So if you are an AllNet customer, welcome. So this is completely for the national attention, if you will. But I am Gary from Volutone, and I've been hosting our webinars, our weekly webinars, on behalf of our local distribution partners. So with that, let's talk a little bit deeper here. Jayson Savage and I have been one of my best friends out there. You are not going to be disappointed on his technicality and what he has done ever since we first got the Sony line. It has grown tremendously. It's been a pleasure to expand the Sony product into the CI channel. It certainly has, from projection to so many awesome products that we've launched and trained on. And through this world that we're living in right now, we're doing the best we can to present you guys with not only product, but feature sets, and just to continue to get this rolling. Jayson and I were kind of talking about that. I'm always curious on how you guys are doing. Volutone and the partners, it's solely based on your business still, and we're in this together. But I can tell you that, our numbers are good. They're strong. So we thank you so much for staying out in it, doing the jobs that you can. And I want you to know from all of our Volutone staff and the local distribution partners, we are certainly there for you. And but the business is good. It's not terrible. We are essential business. So thank the lucky stars for that. Anyway, let's get into this. Like I said, I'll be emailing you guys this whole presentation a little bit later on today. So stay tuned for that. During the course of the presentation today, obviously hit us up. I've got Q&A open and I've got the chat box open. I see you guys are already responding right there. Bruce, you surfed this morning. Awesome job, buddy. Let's keep the questions rolling. Maybe every 15, 20 minutes or so, we could take a pause, and Jayson will be asking for questions and things, and I'll try to address them, and we'll get your questions answered. As you see in the chat room there already, he's put his contact information with his cell phone number. Watch out, Jace.
That's not my cell phone number.
Oh,
that's the install support line. So that's our help line. Just to be clear to everybody here on the phone.
Oh, there you go. They were going to expect it. They were going to expect you to answer that call tonight. Right?
Yeah. Do not give that number to end users. That is not a customer helpline number. If you get frustrated, that's not the number for your customer to call. That's really a number for you guys to be able to reach CDA trained techs that can help you with a problem that if you're on a job site or something like that. So just to be clear, that 866-924-7669 number is just for integrator support. So that's like level 3 guys. They have equipment, they have emulators, they have all of that stuff, so they can help troubleshoot stuff that you're dealing with and walk you through it over the phone.
Cool, got it. I see Al Patel. Al, how you doing, buddy? We'll get you that number. He's asking for that number again. I'm not sure which number he really wants.
Yeah, 866-924-7669. And if you scroll up in the chat, I put it in there. I'll toss it up in there again before the end of the session. But I guess I should probably make my entrance here this morning for everybody.
I mean, you know, we teed it up perfectly for you. Actually, I had an intro that I really wanted everybody to know that not only are you one of my best friends, but this is the only trainer who can actually pull off a kick flip, no hand lander on a skateboard. Mr. Jayson Savage. Give it up.
I'll bow. And it's very odd to just bow to my garage and a camera that's looking at me, but I know that virtually you guys are all impressed that I can still do a skateboard trick. But I thank you all so much for your time and attention this morning or this afternoon, I guess, if you guys are dialing in from the East Coast. I'm going to do my very best to make this as informative and edutational as possible. Really, that's the whole point behind doing the green screen situation. Sony is headquartered in Rancho Bernardo in San Diego, so we're based here in the United States. As far as the business that we do here in North America, all really happens from our offices there in San Diego. And you know, we're your neighbors, and we're really here to be your partners in your business and try to offer you as many solutions that you can use to entice your customers. Certainly with the economic situation right now, global situation right now, let alone the economic one, it's a dynamic time. But we know for sure, and the numbers are pointing to it, that there's going to be a lot more people staying at home, and they're probably going to be looking to invest some money in some upgrades in their homes so that they can stand to be there that much longer, depending on where you're living in the country, of course. So, you know, keep your eyes open for those opportunities. We know that we're seeing a lot of home theater interest happening again, some bids that maybe had gone to sleep or disappeared from the board completely are coming back to our dealers out there. So keep your eyes open for those opportunities. So to kick it off this morning, just wanted to talk a little bit about the weather. We've got a forecast for a lot of cool new Sony electronics that'll be blowing in across the country, really starting now and going through to the end of the calendar year. And I'm talking about, of course, flat panel TVs, LED and OLEDs, projectors, AV products. And I promise that this will be the last weatherman joke that I make in this presentation. It's just that the opportunity was just, you know, too big of a beach ball for me to not take a swipe at and make a little joke here. But really, this is our intent, is to really make this, again, more of a personal experience as much as possible, even though we're all remote, and to make it as engaging as possible, because obviously I might not be the most important thing or the thing that you want to see on screen, but you can see a person. It's not just me droning over a PowerPoint deck or something like that. So I kind of feel like this is a more educational and entertaining way to bring you this information. So this is the the HES virtual training deck, the line overview for all of the new 2020 models that are coming into the lineup. We're not just going to talk about TV, though. That's really the biggest portion of this, but I want to make sure I take the opportunity to talk about a couple of our other categories. Sony ES Audio. Just to be clear, we know that these products are a little long in the tooth. We've been talking about them year over year here since all the way back, I think in 2015, something like that, was when the first series of these rolled out. So we know that they're due for a refresh. The good news is that they are current right now. So 4K, Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, DTSX, all of the audio and video codecs that you need currently right now, these boxes support. 5-year warranty on all ES AVR products. And the other good news is we have inventory of this product. So I know Just some of the other manufacturers out there on the planet are being impacted in the supply chain world, certainly for any kind of electronic out there, any kind of product out there in general. You know, if you're running into a shortage with another brand, or you can't find a product that you can think is going to work for your system from another line, maybe take a look at some of the Sony ES AVR products. We've talked about these at length. Just want to make sure that we touch on that point. There is also a survey that we are distributing, so you may see that come across your email. You may see it in an email blast from Volume. I know Gary was talking about that he'd been promoting it. Please give us your feedback. Please give us that 5 or 10 minutes that it takes to fill out that survey, and give us what you'd like to, tell us what you'd like to see in a Sony ES AVR. This is your opportunity to put your mark on it. You might see the next round of Sony AV products with a certain feature that you're like, hey, I told them that they should do that. So we didn't design these by committee. These were designed by voice of installer, and I think we did pretty well. We want to make sure that we go that same route again this time. So please give us your feedback on those surveys out there. Also, talk briefly about our projector lineup for 2020. It's going to stay stable. As you see it, we should see a couple of new models up here, hopefully in the fall. But for right now, we're still got the full lineup here. We got all the way up in the skybox seats with the VW 5000, 5000 AC lumens, $60,000 retail. Got those customers. Awesome. And I think, again, given the circumstances, we're probably going to see a lot more interest in home theater, or certainly maybe in upgrades to existing theaters. We got the 995 ES at $35,000, interchangeable lens, just like the big one here. Really a premium offering. Certainly not inexpensive, but we feel like got probably some opportunities there as well for people that are doing upgrades or building theaters in their homes right now. BZ1000 ES is our ultra short throw projector. This guy here is actually on a promo right now for $15,000 retail, so down significantly from 25 where it was previous. And again, can do screens up to 120 inches diagonal at less than 10 inches away from the wall. So if you need that large screen front projector experience, definitely a key product to take a look at here. 885 ES is our first step into the laser world. So really kind of the foundation of our lineup right there in the middle, 25,000 retail. And then we've got our two lamp-based projectors over here on the end. VW 695 ES is actually on promo right now. This guy's selling for $8,000 retail. So again, really strong piece of technology here for a very approachable price point. And then we offer the VW 295 ES, which is real 4K, HDR, all of the bells and whistles that you'd expect to get at $5,000 retail. One announcement that I wanted to make sure that we herald here while I have the opportunity is that professional panels and business projectors are making their way into the Sony CI portfolio. So I know that as distribution customers, depending on where you're buying around the country, you may already have had access, or you may already be buying this product from a Volume, for example, out here on the West Coast. But really haven't been able to get any support for that product from the CI team. That changes for 2020. So just to be clear, we're getting access to business projectors as well as business grade flat panels. So these are not cinema products. These are for your large venue type of applications, your golf simulators, your houses of worship, your Buffalo Wild Wings or whatever, if you get a restaurant, when we get those back again here at some point. Anywhere that you need to have a really high brightness type of projector, but don't necessarily need 4K, that's where these products kind of slot in here. We've been doing laser all the way back in projection, all the way back to 2013 on the pro side. And of course, we move over here up to 2020. We've really just continued then to innovate and create new products that really are relevant to the commercial space, for doing PowerPoints, doing spreadsheets, that sort of stuff. That's really where these products are focused for the corporate and educational space. And then if you look at our lineup here, all of our projectors are laser. We have two that are basic style units. So, your desktop sort of, hey, just slap it on the desk and shine the picture on the wall. But, we start, all the way, even our entry level projector is 5,000 lumen. So very, very bright, even given the small size that we're working with. And then when we talk about some of the big boys here, this is our complete lineup of projectors that are all interchangeable lens. So if you use the Sony projector simulator, which is an app for throw calculation, you'll see all these products listed. Also, if you go to sonypremiumhome.com, there's a projector simulator software right in the middle of the projector page on Sony Premium Home. You can do throw calculations from that website. So if you hear me throwing out these websites, you hear me throwing out these names, I'll toss them up in the chat. But I'd really like to encourage you to sign up, register, and attend our technical session that we'll be doing next week, because I'm going to take a deep dive into all the resources that are out there and available to you guys as Sony dealers, as Sony integrators, regardless of how you buy Sony. Included in the move to pro products coming into our portfolio, Bravia professional displays. And really, these panels are focused on corporate, education, and retail environments. However, there is a consumer model equivalent to these pieces. They're just built slightly differently. The pro model displays are built for a 24/7 duty cycle. They're built with a luminized chassis on the back for being in those public spaces. And one of the key upgrades versus a consumer panel is they have a 3-year warranty on them. So, that may be an attractive value add for a lot of customers out there. I'll be honest, they are not the best of the best in terms of picture quality in our lineup, but the current range of products, the BZ35 is equivalent to like an 850G, and the upcoming BZ40 is going to be the equivalent to a 900H, what we'll talk about here later today. But our pro panels are available from 43 inches all the way up to 85 inches, and we'll have touchscreen overlays available on screen sizes from 55 to 85. So we feel like this is a really strong addition to the CI space. It's a logical addition to the CI space. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about what this means to our channel. We're going to be doing dedicated pro Sony trainings. So keep your eyes out for those opportunities to attend that. We've got lots of ground here to cover today, so I'll look for your questions here in the chat. But again, really, really strong addition to the lineup. They're extremely bright. You can sort of see here, we're in that 500 to 620 nit range, depending on screen size there. So when you talk about professional displays out there in the world, to have that kind of brightness 24/7 is really a really powerful capability to have in any location. So moving into consumer products, and I get asked all the time, what makes a Sony TV a Sony TV? What makes a Sony TV sparkle versus another brand out there? And of course, Jayson Savage works for Sony, so you should always buy a Sony because you like Jayson Savage. But to be a little bit more, a little bit less boastful and a little bit more realistic, we'll talk about what makes a Sony TV. For this year, all Sony TVs make the move to the X1 processor. So in the past, once you got to a certain point in our lineup, you weren't getting X1, you weren't getting some of the better processing that's available out there. However, this year, they've decided to move all the TVs into X1. So that's a huge step up, even when we talk about here at the entry level. X1 processor gives us the ability to take lower quality content, use some smart detection, some algorithms and a database, and make sure that we render that image properly in 4K, because we're going from 2 million pixels to 16 million pixels, right? It's a pretty big, or excuse me, 8 million pixels, pretty big jump. It's four times the math there, right? And then when we talk about 4K images, we're really talking about making sure that we can take 4K content, render it properly on screen, so that we're maximizing picture quality regardless of where we're getting our content from. All Sony TVs for 2020 are going to be Triluminos Display, so we're going to be able to get that wider color gamut. This technology comes from our professional pedigree. We've got the BVM monitor there that's so good it won an Oscar a few years ago just for being such a technological achievement. So we take that expertise on the pro side, we take our technology and expertise from the consumer side, and we put those two things together, and that's really what adds up to a Sony, what makes a Sony TV a Sony TV. And I get asked this a fair amount, how come Sony doesn't do quantum dots? What's QLED versus LED? What's the advantage there? There really is no difference between QLED and Triluminos. They're really just different flavors of the same banana, to sort of make a food analogy there. Sony's been doing Triluminos Display or quantum dot technology all the way back in 2013. So when we talk about experience, we've been doing it for the better part of half a decade, plus. So we've really got some key experience in that area. So don't be confused if you're looking at some of the marketing out there, or if a customer asks you what's quantum dot versus Triluminos, they're really the same thing. We also will have motion compensation in every TV across our lineup. The two entry-level TVs, 750 and X800, are 60 Hertz panels, so they will get motion flow XR240. The rest of the TVs in our lineup get more advanced video processing, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But we get this expertise from our broadcast capture group with our cameras that we use for sporting events and that sort of stuff. We know how to compensate on the capture side for motion, so that on the display side, we've got the processing built in to be able to manage fast-moving action stuff on screen. Colin McGregor looks really bummed out here, but we're catching all of that emotion with the Sony camera. So I'm not sure if he won or he lost, but suffice it to say, he doesn't look super happy in that shot right there. So typically I'm a fan of top-down selling, but I think, we've been talking about the foundation of what makes a Sony TV. And X750H really exemplifies that. This is a very limited use case TV in custom. This is really best suited for your turn and burn customer, or I'm going to go ahead and say this, and it's not intended to be disparaging in any way, shape, or form, but I would really qualify the X750H as the jitterbug cell phone of our Sony TV lineup. Guess what? It's a TV, you turn it on, it works every time, just like your jitterbug. You turn it on, you make a phone call, and that's kind of really all that it does. Very basic comparison here, but if somebody really just wants a simple TV, plug in their sources and let her rip, 750H is a great option for them. It's going to get an X1 processor with 4K X Reality Pro and dynamic contrast enhancement. So again, that base level functionality we've been talking about. Nice cosmetic design. But when we talk about custom install, this TV has some pretty significant limitations, and that's really the point of this message here. No rear IR input, no serial control, no IP control, and no monitor only, no pro mode. So if you're talking about, oh, I really want to get a house full of TVs in for a client, they want to do a whole upgrade, but they don't want to spend a bunch of money, I'll throw a bunch of 750s in there and control them with a RTI or Control 4 or whatever it is. You're going to have IR bugs on every one of those TVs, no IP control. So again, this is really intended to be that standalone TV set in a tertiary room, something like that, not a prime viewing location, just mother-in-law suite. Hey, here's a TV, plug in your cable box or your Apple TV or whatever it is, and let her rip. So just in summary, basic foundation we talked about, and some very simplified smart TV type of situation with simplified Android TV experience. And just to be clear about some of the limitations that we're talking about here, again, from X800H and up, you're going to get the full meal deal: CEC control, Wi-Fi direct, built-in browser, and all the premium software items that you'd expect to find in a Sony TV. 750H doesn't have any of that stuff, really. It doesn't even have CEC control supported. So again, when we're talking about basic TV, 750H is that set. Really, when you're talking about making money in this game, when you're talking about having the kind of control and things that we expect to have, we're really talking about shopping or selling from X800H and above. So speaking of X800H, it's really a different step up cosmetically and performance wise. Huge upgrade on X800H versus last year was X800G. So again, we moved from the 4K X Reality processor to the X1 processor. We get a better backlighting system with direct LED that's 50% brighter. We get a better audio system, and by and large, we feel like probably at the higher end, you're probably going to be putting speaker bars, you're going to be putting sound bars or surround sound in those rooms. However, at this level for an extra bedroom or something like that, you might be relying on the speakers and the TV. So having great audio is important. And then really the biggest improvement up, except for obviously moving to X1, is the step up in performance for the smart TV features. 60% faster than the model that it replaces. And really what that means is all of our TVs from X800H and up are essentially built on the same platform. So they're going to be very snappy. You're going to get the response like you'd expect from a smartphone or tablet when you hit the buttons on that device. Same kind of reactions, not laggy, not waiting, watching the wheel of power turn on the screen while you're waiting for your apps and stuff to start. Again, much snappier. And as we move away, kind of as an industry trend, we move away from some component type devices to more consolidated access to our apps and those kinds of things. Having that faster processor makes a huge difference. Big step up in processing. When we talk about the heart and soul of X800H, we move to the X1 4K HDR processor. You just kind of see it swell up there on screen. And that gives us some extra capabilities as far as image processing. And let's just be honest here, processing is king these days because we're not just going analog to analog over the air. We're taking 720p, 1080i, 1080p, and scaling it up to 4K or up to 8K for that matter, depending on the display you're using. So processing power is critical to content enjoyment these days. X1 4K HDR processor gives us the ability to do HDR content. So to be clear, X750H, no HDR support. X800 and higher, you're going to get support for HDR. And really what that means is regardless of where you get your content from, whether it's Disney Plus, Netflix, Apple TV, Prime, Vudu, or Blu-ray discs, if you've got these HDR codecs like Dolby Vision or HDR10 in that content from X800H and higher, the TV will be able to support all of those formats. Take a look at the design of the TV set. Again, slim stand here, nice bezel. And then again, you're going to get the full roster of connectivity here with 4 HDMIs, USB connections, Ethernet connections, IR, serial control, all of the connectivity you'd expect to find in a Sony TV. Quick look here at the front panel. And then again, look here at the profile in the back. I'm not going to keep beating this drum here, but on every model from X800H and higher, you're going to get IP control, serial control, a rear IR input, and the ability to put the TV into monitor-only mode or pro mode. So again, join our session here next week on Friday, and we'll talk a little bit more about pro mode. We'll talk a little bit more about those features and do a walkthrough on them. Quick summary of what you're going to get with X800H. Again, move to 4K HDR processing, support for HDR content. Triluminos display, as we've talked about, is going to be in all of our sets. And then MotionFlow XR240. Again, X800H is a 60 hertz panel, not a 120 hertz panel. So if you really are looking for that kind of performance, you got to take your customer up the next level. Great audio, support for up to 5.1 via ARC, no 2.1 features, no enhanced audio return channel on X800H. And then the full roster of smart features that you'd expect to find in a TV. I'm just going to cover these once because they're included in all of our sets after this. You're going to get the Google Assistant built in, so you can say, okay, Google to the remote or to the TV, and you'll be able to ask the TV to do things, go to picture modes, that sort of things. Amazon Alexa has better support on the new sets now, so you're going to get the ability not only to turn the TV on and off, pick a channel, play or pause, that sort of thing, but also you're able to launch the Amazon Music service as well as look at your Ring doorbell using an Amazon Alexa app that you download to the TV. And then last but not least, on the smart TV front, support for Apple AirPlay and Apple HomeKit. So we have the native capability to cast or stream from any of your Apple devices directly to the TV. I don't have any updates on an Apple Plus application yet for Android products. I hope that we're going to see, pardon me, hope that we're going to see some additions there in the near future. But in the meantime, what I can say for sure that we've got is the ability for anybody to just cast from their phone, cast from their laptop, cast from their iPad directly to a Sony display. And speaking from personal experience here at my house, even with all the high-end AV gear that I have in my system, my wife prefers to use the iPad and cast directly to the TV. So go figure. And then last but not least, on the common feature set that you're going to see throughout our lineup from X800H and up is game mode. So gaming is a huge focus in our industry and certainly in our lives right now. Gaming is bigger than it's ever been. Nobody can go to the movies anymore for the time being. So there were a lot of people spending time at home on their PC, on their console, that sort of thing. So PlayStation and gaming in general is seeing a huge uptick in engagement. All Sony TVs have a game mode in them. We do have one model in our lineup that's very gamer specific, but suffice it to say, any of the TVs in our lineup from X800H and higher have game mode. And what that really means is we turn the processing in the TV off so that we can go from 123.5 milliseconds, which is, I don't know, maybe what, 3 or 4 frames of video or something, buffer to 9.4 seconds. So, you know, less than a frame of millisecond delay there. So when we talk about, you know, what that means for gamers, really this is important for folks that game online. I'm really like in console world, this is an important thing. When we talk about moving up into higher capabilities like a dedicated gaming PC, this doesn't really make as big a difference, and chances are those guys aren't using X800H necessarily as a gaming monitor. But we'll talk a little bit about what that means here as we go forward. To X900H. So when we talk about gaming TVs and we're talking about some capability like that, this model represents really the very middle of our lineup, has some higher end features, but also has some more budget focused and again, very gamer focused capabilities. I'm just going to monitor the chat here and see if there's anything that I've missed. Doesn't look like it. When we move to X900H, we move up to 120 hertz panel, so much faster refresh rate on this TV. We make a move also to precision color mapping in addition to the extra features that come along with the 4K HDR processing. Precision color mapping essentially means that we know what the color volume input signal's like, but we also know what the color capabilities are of our panel, which is what that bigger triangle represents with the little dots there in the middle being the input signal. And precision color mapping allows us to maximize the color volume from the input signal. So we're not really trying to change anything. What we're really trying to do is trying to draw the color as far and deep as we can into those color ranges and pockets as possible, so that your end user gets the most vibrant picture that they can get, the most colorful picture that they can get. Step up to X900H means that we move to full array local dimming, so huge improvement in performance. And compared to traditional edge-lit displays or conventional backlit displays, our full array system gives us discrete control over the LEDs behind the screen so that we can have a dynamic environment. We can boost the peak brightness of certain LEDs there that we want to have highlighted, and then dim or turn off the areas that we don't. So we're going to maximize that contrast and really give you the widest dynamic range in terms of brightness and black level as possible. The move to the 120 hertz panel also gives us X motion clarity. And really, X motion clarity is a huge step up compared to what we get with our Motion Flow XR240. So with traditional dark frame insertion, for every field of video, you get a black frame in between, so that when our brain stitches all of those images together, the image is certainly sharper and blur-free, but it's also a little bit more unnatural and a little bit darker. But when we talk about what X motion clarity gives us, we can keep every frame of video up on the screen, and we can dim or black out the areas that we don't want to have highlighted, but keep the ones that we do want to have highlighted, obviously on screen, so that again, when our brain stitches all of those images together into what we perceive as a picture, it's going to be brighter and has more blur-free motion as a result. This is completely customizable, so you can turn it on, turn it off as your client's preferences dictate. However, I will say this, if you turn on X motion clarity and put it in the custom mode and turn both of the processes down all the way to the bottom, or to the minimum setting, excuse me, you will get the benefit of sharper text without any sort of unnatural looking motion artifact. So just my quick tech tip for the day on this setting. X900H also takes us up to Netflix calibrated mode. Again, one of the benefits of the 120 hertz panel. What this also gives us is really a lead into what the premium feature sets are of our higher end TVs. And Netflix calibrated mode is really just a setting in the TV that you can turn on and off while you're watching the Netflix app on the TV. Just to be clear, it is limited to that app, native to the TV set. But it's going to give us a more cinematic experience versus what you'd expect normally from Netflix content. I would say this just to caution you all. I don't think you're going to see a huge benefit on some of the kids cooking shows or bake-off type of things that are on Netflix currently that my kids here at the house watch. But I do feel like for some of the more highly produced content, like the Jimmy Hoffa film that they shot for Netflix with De Niro and Pacino, that this does definitely pay some dividends in terms of picture quality. Here's one that if you're a spec reader, you may have seen this already. If not, I just want to make sure we're clear about what this is and what this isn't. Next Gen TV, or ATSC 3.0, is the new standard for over-the-air broadcast that is rolling out slowly across the country. I will say this first and foremost, this is not a federally mandated situation. This is something that's being funded privately. So the adoption of ATSC 3.0 is not being mandated by the federal government in any way, shape, or form. This is really more of an industry trend and a reaction to what's happening with streaming content by traditional broadcasters, by the NBCs, CBSs, and your local affiliates around the country. So next gen TV will bring us 4K HDR over the air, better signal, multi-channel audio. I know everybody's excited about this next one. More targeted advertising. I'm sure that people are really excited about that. Emergency alerts and interactive features to broadcast TV. So those kind of sound pretty exciting. Kind of an example of what you'd expect to see with next gen TV. Again, more of that interactive streaming sort of interface, which again for broadcast TV seems pretty exciting. Some of the markets across the country that are already have sticks up in the air for ATSC 3.0. Even like where I live up here in the Pacific Northwest, trying to look on my screen, we do have an antenna up in the air here, and also one in Portland, one in San Francisco. But really, the rest of the markets around the country, some are major population centers, some of them aren't. So what am I getting at here? X900H is the only TV in our lineup that has a native ATSC 3.0 tuner. So X900H, wire in the new antenna, and guess what? You're watching over-the-air broadcast from whatever market that supports it around the country. None of the other TVs series in our lineup have ATSC 3.0. And some people might scratch their head and go, why is that? How come the higher end sets don't have that? It's really about bill of materials. And it's also more about the fact that this is not a federally mandated situation. We picked a TV, or we picked a series of TV that had the right combination of hardware to make this work, so that we had an offering for customers that are looking for this. But honestly, for the people that didn't get that or aren't necessarily worried about the next gen tuner being built into the set, just like when we made the move to digital broadcast ATSC 2.0, there'll be an off-air and an off-air tuner box that you'll be able to tie into your system or tie into the TV to get that content. And then when we talk about a custom install application, the off-air tuner box, the outboard tuner box, quite frankly, makes more sense, because otherwise you'd have to make sure you have that wire ran directly to the display to wire in the antenna anyway. So unless you're already planning for this, you've got those hard wires to where your displays are at, chances are you're going to be relying on the outboard tuner for this content if it becomes available in your market anyway. X900H does get some features for HDMI 2.1, really specific ones for gamers. So 4K 120p, enhanced audio return channel is really a benefit for everybody in sound. And then really when we talk about gaming specific features, variable refresh rate and auto low latency mode. So what are we talking about here? Enhanced audio return channel, as you guys probably already know, but if you're not familiar with what this advantage gives you, really allows you to share multi-channel audio that comes from your display, that goes to, whether it's apps, etc., on your display, that go back to your audio system, or sources that are connected directly to the display back to your AV system. So you don't have to have everything plugged in directly to the AVR to get Dolby Atmos, for example, or DTS for that matter. So, from a performance and audio performance benefit perspective, eARC is a huge step up. Allows you to position devices where they're convenient to position, as opposed to figuring out where you have to put them so you can make it work. So kind of a nicer way to be able to arrange components if that's what you're looking to do. But when we talk about some of these gamer features, variable refresh rate really allows the display to react to changes in frame rate that are coming from the gaming machine. To be clear, none of the major gaming studios that have games on consoles support VRR. We've looked at we've looked for titles on Xbox One X because they do tout that they support VRR. They don't even have a list of published titles of games that support this. The reason the major studios don't want to support VRR currently on the consoles is because they want to make sure that the gaming experience is as beautiful as possible. Sometimes they're gaming in 60p, sometimes they're gaming in 30p. The gamers, they don't know because they're just taking in the game and playing it as they always have. However it looks is how it looks. VRR really only matters to PC gamers currently, and again, high-end PC gamers. So VRR really doesn't make that big of a difference to anybody other than that really subset of crowd right now. And then when we talk about auto low latency mode, the TV will switch to game mode when it detects that, hey, there's 120 hertz or variable signal rate coming in from my gaming console or my gaming device. So it'll click over to game mode and click over to that input automatically. If we don't have ALLM on a TV, is that a big deal? It's absolutely not. You guys may have seen this in a Sony menu in the past. Auto picture mode is essentially the same thing as auto low latency mode. It's not the exact same thing, so we can't tout that as a support feature for HDMI 2.1. But all Sony TVs from X800H and up have this auto picture mode in there. So if you turn that feature on, you turn on your PlayStation, you turn on your Blu-ray player, you turn on your streaming box, whatever it is, the TV will read what that signal is coming in and adjust the picture mode automatically. And again, if we're doing calibrations, if we're doing any of that stuff, probably none of this really matters to you anyway, because you're probably doing a couple of set picture modes or maybe even just one picture mode for all of the content that our clients are watching. So who really benefits from HDMI 2.1? Obviously, these features are important for a lot of people, and the big one there, of course, is going to be enhanced audio return channel. but there's no benefit to 2.1 for sports or cable viewers. Casual gamers, some of them are going to get some of the benefits. I think, again, that eARC one is a big one. Want to make sure you're playing Resident Evil and hearing the zombies creep up behind you in surround sound. That definitely makes sense to me from a limited gaming perspective. But really, competitive gamers are the ones that are going to benefit initially and the most from HDMI 2.1. And those features, again, here, variable refresh rate and ALLM are going to make the biggest difference to them. So a quick eye chart here that, again, I'm sure you guys will all have memorized before I click to the next slide. But just a quick reference chart here to see which TVs have which HDMI 2.1 feature supported. Enhanced audio return channel, really the main one, is the one that you're going to see throughout the lineup. Z9G and Z8H are 8K sets, so of course they're going to get the 8K 60 support, and they've got the horsepower to do 4K 120. A8H and 950H do not support the 4K 120 capability, but they're really intended to be more of a picture quality type product, not a definitely hardcore gaming product. But when we're really, again, when we're talking about content, there's nothing here other than PC games that support that. So X900H does have those extra features to support HDMI 2.1. So in the off chance that you do get somebody that comes in and says, yeah, I'm a hardcore PC gamer, but my 26-inch gaming monitor just isn't cutting it anymore, I want to get something bigger. Do you have something that supports VRR or ALLM or higher frame rates in 4K? X900H should be the TV that you're offering to those clients. Beautiful look and design with X900H. And as I mentioned before, when we talk about our Pro panels, current BZ35 is an equivalent to an 850G. X900H is the equivalent to a BZ40 when those panels start to ship here later in the summer. So if for some reason you get into a bind where Volutone or your distributor doesn't have a 900H in 65 or 75 inches, maybe take a look at what we have in the BZ panels and talk to your client about it, because it may, and the TV is going to be a little bit more money, just to be clear, but it's going to come with some value adds like that 3-year warranty that we were talking about at the beginning. Take a look here at the side profile of the set and the inputs. Again, full roster of inputs and connectivity there. Nice slim design from the side profile of the TV. And then again, a full roster and a summary here of what you're going to get. All the processing, full array local dimming, 120 hertz native panel with Netflix calibrated mode as part of the package. Better audio from the speakers that are built into the TV, as well as support for multi-channel audio via enhanced audio return channel. And as I mentioned, all the smart features that we've been talking about. So now moving into the upper end of the LED range, and actually this is the middle of our range if you're looking at our lineup. X950H is the best value that we have for money of any TV in the Sony lineup for 2020. I say that because it comes with the best processor in our lineup, X1 Ultimate, which is the same brain that we have in our 8K set and our premium OLED sets. So, when we talk about value for money and processing and picture quality, 950H checks that box. We don't have a 4K Master Series TV set anymore. 950H really occupies that space. So I affectionately refer to this TV as the poor man's Master Series, because it's got all of that high-end technology in more of a mid-tier, mid-priced chassis and package. So X1 Ultimate processor gives us dual database processing. So as we look at incoming video on the screen, the television is constantly looking at what's on screen and referencing a database for stuff that's in the foreground. So in this case here, it's a bird. We're referencing the database of feathers that we have so that we can draw the details in there in the feathers on screen. And then in the background, we're also able to process the sky or details in the background again at 120 times a second to make sure that we're rendering those details properly. X1 Ultimate processing also helps us eliminate some of the wood grain effect that you get from lower quality content on a higher end panel. Image gets broken up, details get lost. We definitely see this on some of our competitors out there, much less than we see it on Sony. So again, with super bit mapping, we see much finer gradient in the sky and really better overall picture quality. And if you guys don't know this, picture quality is really the foundation of what Sony displays are all about. We're really about trying to make sure that you're getting the best picture quality possible for the money, regardless of the series of TV set that you buy. Extended Dynamic Range Pro makes its move to X950H. So really full array local dimming, as we were talking about here, but this TV's got 6 times better contrast than maybe say a X900H. So again, more LEDs behind the screen, more finite control over those LEDs so that you're going to get better contrast, better peak brightness, and better black levels, regardless of the content that you're watching. And then this one here is really huge, and I hope this is translating okay in the presentation. But X wide angle and viewing angle is really the key differentiator when we talk about X950 versus the rest of the TVs in our lineup. So if you guys are familiar with LCD or LED TV sets, if you're sitting directly in front of the thing, picture's beautiful. Key example, Z9D from a few years ago. If you're sitting right in front of that set, absolutely gorgeous, perfect, beautiful picture. You start getting off axis, however, some of that color and that contrast drops off. X wide angle is a filter that's built onto the television that improves viewing angle. So new for this year with X950H, this technology makes it into some smaller screen sizes, 55 and 65 inches. Before it was only 75 and 85. But X wide angle really allows us to put an LED TV set in a room that maybe has some challenging seating configurations or off-axis viewing for certain people that are in the room, so they get the same kind of picture experience that you'd get if you're sitting directly in front of the TV. Also, just want to make sure that we point this out. This should be your consideration if you're talking to a customer about maybe doing an OLED set versus LED. This would be the most comparable TV set to an OLED in terms of viewing angle and color, contrast, that sort of thing. But the key difference here is X950H will be bright enough to overcome the ambient light in the room, where an OLED set, because it has that glass screen and that glass finish, is going to be very reflective and not just, quite frankly, just not as bright as the LED set is. So if you need viewing angle and you need high brightness, you should be looking at an X wide angle equipped TV set like X950H. X950H is also the first set in our lineup that gets IMAX Enhanced certification. And really what that means is that we can put the image up on the screen in the kind of quality with the right scale, with the support for audio that our friends at DTS and IMAX expect, so that when we put their content out up on our screens and out through our audio systems, whether it comes from Blu-ray, Fandango Now, or Palladium, you'll be able to enjoy it. And then also just want to make sure that I'm clear about this. Everything in the Sony CI lineup, projectors, TVs, or excuse me, projectors, X950H and higher in TV, our audio systems, even our high-end soundbars are all IMAX Enhanced certified. So you can really, if customers are into content or they're into this large-scale movies or music, that kind of thing, our devices meet their criteria. Ambient optimization. So I'm going to reach over here and grab my prop for today. So I actually have an X950H actually here in my studio, and there's a little microphone that's built onto the top of the remote here that will allow you to calibrate the audio to the room if you're using the speakers in the TV. Now, pretty clearly, you guys sell AV systems, you guys are selling surround sound, you're selling sound bars, so your experience, this may not be necessary. However, on X950H and higher, if you're relying on the audio system in the TV, I would definitely recommend that you give this a try. I did the Pepsi challenge on this myself and found that out here in my garage, this made a massive difference in terms of how the TV sounded from where I sit. So Really simple. Sit on the couch with the remote, run the audio calibration process. And again, your results may vary depending on your environment, but for me, this made a huge difference out here in terms of how my TV sounds in my space. Also, we've got an improved light sensor for this year, so that depending on where the TV is located at, maybe if you want to not clamp down anybody's irises, if it's going in a bedroom or something like that, you'd leave the light sensor on. But for those high ambient light environments, turn the light sensor off in the TV. Or again, if you're doing a calibration, turn the light sensor off in the TV so you get a consistent light output all the time. Premium design on X950H. So broad range of sizes from 49 all the way up to 85. The 55, 65, and 75 have different mounting options for the feet. I know that we hang most of our TVs on the wall here in North America, but if you do need to put it on a credenza, just wanted to make sure we pointed that out. And then the 49 and 85 only have one mounting option for the feet, and that's really relative to packaging and safety. Obviously, the 49, probably not going to be a whole lot of mounting options for the feet. However, the 85 is such a big panel that if it is going on a stand, you want to make sure that you've got a nice sturdy support underneath the set. So again, quick summary of X950H, what you're going to get, what it looks like, all of that good stuff. We're coming into the home stretch here, guys, so we may go a few minutes over, but hopefully that's okay with my friend there, Mr. Usher. Quick look at the side profile of the set, as well as the inputs that you're going to get there. Again, a roster or summary of what you're getting with X950H, big ones being X1 Ultimate and that X wide angle panel. Everything else we've talked about appears in the other sets below it. And that kind of concludes what we've got in 4K, in 4K LEDs, excuse me. When we move to Z8H, we're really talking about a new entrance into the 8K space, a new panel that we can offer clients that are looking to be early adopters, or they're just looking for the best 4K experience that they can have in a large flat panel. That's really where I'd position 8K right now. We know that we don't have any content currently available, but content is coming. And really, I think gaming is probably going to be one of those areas that we're going to see that first. But for clients that are looking to make sure that they're future-proof, or they're looking to make sure that they're getting the best viewing experience that they can get in a larger flat panel, 8K is it, because we go again from that 8 million pixels all the way up to 33 million pixels in Z8H. So extremely pixel dense, and the best resolution that you can get in a flat panel right now. Of course, we're going to get X1 Ultimate as our brain and horsepower driving the picture quality there. Swelling up big and proud. We've got a reality database built for 8K upscaling. Again, we know we don't have any 8K content, so we can take your 1080p, your 4K, use our database as a reference, and draw it and render it properly in 8K. Extended Dynamic Range Pro for 8K makes its move obviously into this panel. Significantly brighter than a 950, just for a comparison. And really why this is important is because the panel has so many pixels, 32 million or 33 million, excuse me, the pixel structure is super duper small. So you've got to have a really intense backlight to be able to get through those much finer dots and pixels on the screen. So again, when we talk about content maybe being an issue or a challenge to get a customer to buy 8K high ambient light environments, this should definitely be on your list of panels to offer customers as a result, because if you need a TV to overcome a really, really bright room or challenging environment that way, the 8K sets that we have are going to be the brightest ones out there. Support for HDMI 2.1 in our 8K set, of course, so 4K 120, 8K 60p, a dedicated input on our displays for enhanced format for 8K, and support for multi-channel audio via EARC. TV center channel speaker mode makes its appearance on Z8H. So we have a couple of models in our lineup that support this. Z8H, Z9G, and A9G are the three sets of the two 8K LEDs, and the one series of OLED Master Series A9G have the ability to use the audio system in the set as your center channel speaker. Clearly, we don't want to steal your center channel business, but what we want to do is give you options so that if your client would go for surround sound but can't mount a speaker where the TV goes or doesn't like the look of it or what have you, maybe you can get them to step up a little bit on the TV and you can utilize the center channel speaker mode in that kind of orientation and give your customers the benefits of improved audio and a more cinematic experience, and also give yourself the benefit of, hey, I just sold them a nicer TV and surround sound to go with it. Upgraded backlit remote if you guys are relying on the Sony TV remote. And then really a huge step up in design versus Z9G. So the Master Series sets are a no compromises design. They build the box, they come up with the best picture and sound quality possible, and then they put a wrapper on it. In this particular arrangement, some more cosmetic focus was, better cosmetics was the focus. So not a no holds bar design, so much slimmer, different mounting options for the feet, a much less blocky and industrial design, and really kind of the whole idea behind a sister model in the 8K lineup. So quick look at the front panel here. Quick look at the profile and the inputs on the back of the TV here. And just to be clear, some of the profile shots here, the scale of them kind of give the illusion that the TV is really chunky or really blocky. I have to say I saw this TV firsthand at CES in January. This TV is very, very thin, very similar to what you'd find in a 950G or something like that compared to Z9G. So I just want to make sure that I call it out, because in the rendering it may appear that this is a little thicker, blockier than it really is. It's really not. So last couple of slides here, guys. A8H is our new upgraded OLED set. Makes a huge step up in performance from last year. So again, we moved to that X1 Ultimate chipset. So the same brains as in our Master Series set lives in A8H. Compared to A8G, again, we make a move to X1 Ultimate. We're going to get some similar features like pixel contrast booster, acoustic service has been improved, and the step up in SoC to Android TV Performance Plus. To be clear though, this is not a Master Series TV set. The biggest differentiators are the design of the TVs are different cosmetically. The construction of the Master Series TV set is more illuminized, just more high end. And you do get the benefit of audio with A9G. We don't put the Master Series stamp just on the box because that's what we want to do. It actually means something. A8H makes a big step up towards that Master Series performance level, but just to be clear, it's not a Master Series TV set. We make a move to X Motion Clarity for OLED. Kind of does the same thing as our LED panels, except we do it in segments of the screen as opposed to just little areas. So we do like line scanning, I guess it's called. But again, end result is the same thing. Clear pictures that are brighter with less motion blur. And as I mentioned before, turn on X Motion Clarity, turn them down to their minimum settings. You'll get all the benefits of it with none of the penalties, and the text and the stuff like that that's really important to read on the screen will be very sharp and easier for our audiences to take in. Talked a little bit about the design already, but again, beautiful slim design of this TV set. A8H also gets two different options here for mounting the TV on the pedestal if you're going to do that. So you can put a sound bar or speaker bar in front of the set if you're not utilizing the audio that's built into the TV. Quick look at the front panel, as well as the side profile and inputs. And again, just want to make sure I call out here, this profile shot makes the TV look kind of chunky and blocky and awkward. It is absolutely not. Saw this TV as well at CES. Very minimal overhang, very slim, very trim look and design. And then last but not least is the A9S. Small screen, big performance. This TV is intended to occupy that space where customers in the early to mid 2000s bought what was then a big 50-inch plasma or something like that, and built in furniture for it. And now it's 15 years later, and they can't find a nice TV with a similar appropriate feature set to the one that they bought. in a smaller screen size. They have to go with some off-brand, or they have to go with a really low-quality series of TV. A9S is the answer to that question. So it is a Master Series set. It's available, again, only in that 48-inch screen size. All the bells and whistles that we talked about here. One thing to know about A9S is it does not have center channel speaker mode. So if that's a feature that you're looking for, you got to go to the 55 to get that. But again, we feel like this gives us a great opportunity to get in to replace those bedroom TVs, or to replace those 50-inch flat panels that have been stuck in built-ins for the last 10 or 15 years. Really where we're after with this particular model. So second to last slide, WL855 is a slim wall bracket that was designed and engineered by Sony to work on Sony TVs. Last year, it only worked with our OLED sets. So they've changed the design of the current roster of LED sets. And literally anything in 4K, whether it's OLED or LED, will be able to work safely with the 855 bracket. It is a swivel bracket, not a tilt bracket. So if you're thinking about, oh, I could put that over a fireplace, unless the customers don't mind that it's high, kind of a high placement with no tilt, this is a great option to replace maybe what you would use with a traditional flat wall bracket, where maybe you have to take the TV down, or you got to send two guys out to service a set because it's too big or too heavy to handle by themselves. WL855 gives us the ability to pull the TV away from the wall, get in there behind it and service it, push it right up back against the drywall, or maybe if you need a little bit of a swivel to support the TV that way. I've had a lot of guys that have given this bracket a try, and when they do Sony TVs in that flat wall bracket application, they love this bracket. It's a great option for you. So quick eye chart again, just to kind of summarize what we've covered here, the entire Sony lineup. X750H is going to be, again, that entry-level TV for the tertiary room, the jitterbug cell phone of our TV lineup. Good basic functionality, solid performance, but no frills, no bells and whistles. And again, no IP control, none of the other things that we're looking for in CI land is really supported there. X800H is really the first TV in our lineup that has that kind of functionality in those feature sets. That's really what you guys should be starting if you're doing bigger multi-display projects. This should really be the good of your good, better, best lineup. You really shouldn't offer anything lower than this. If A, you're trying to make money, or B, you're looking for those features or that functionality for control. X900H is that gamer-focused TV set that we're talking about. So we moved to 120 hertz panel. We get some more of those premium picture quality features like Netflix calibrated mode, that sort of stuff. But when we also move from there to X950H, again, we're going to make that huge step in terms of processing with X1 Ultimate. We've got much improved viewing angle. We start IMAX Enhanced certification. Again, better full array local dimming than X900H. And again, kind of the full roster of what we'd expect with image processing, Triluminos, that sort of stuff. And again, best value per dollar that we have in our lineup is X950H. The two models here that we're adding in the OLED range, A8H and A9S. So from 48 on the A9S and 55 and 65 on A8H. Big step up in OLED performance, but it is not a Master Series set. That is A9G. A9G is not going to be replaced this year. So 55, 65, and 77-inch sizes respectively. It was slated to be replaced, but due to some of the impact of COVID-19, there's just not enough time to properly finish it, bring it to market, get it manufactured, all of that good stuff. So they postponed it, which means that A9G, still a Master Series set, still going to occupy the top of our OLED range. And there's going to be some great deals on this particular TV throughout the year. So keep your eyes open for those. And last but certainly not least is our 8K sets. So new model in the 8K lineup, Z8H in 75 and 85 inches. X wide angle, super bright with 8K extended dynamic range pro. And again, all the image processing and good stuff that comes along with X1 Ultimate. And then Z9G is still the granddaddy of them all. Master Series LED TV set, backlight master drive, really the no compromises in image quality or sound quality TV set. This TV will be available in 85 until the supply of them is gone, but that will not be replaced. However, 98, and we've had a run of 98s, if you can believe that, in all of this, will continue to be available through the calendar year. And that's going to bring us here to the end of my presentation, PowerPoint-wise here, guys. So is there any questions that I can answer for anybody? I know we're a few minutes over here, Gary. I apologize for that, but I'm just
no, that was
Q&A.
Jayson, that was incredible. I mean, wow, that is an hour packed, literally, which only makes me think like I got to get these guys some follow-up information. So you know what? Really quickly, I've got 3 of my team members on there. I see Jaeger, I've got Jesse. Hey, Scott, is there anything from the Volutone perspective? I just unmuted you that you would like to throw out there. Anything you can hear me or able to talk or type a question? I know that your team is in the wings, ready to go. If there is, hit a Q&A for me. Jayson, actually the guys are asking about the slides that you presented on PDF. So I'm recording this now. Everybody's going to get the email today at 4 o'clock. And by the way, Jayson, awesome job, man. That was.
Oh, thank you. Hopefully
that is packed.
It's a lot of info for sure.
Yeah, it's an exciting season. Here we go. So for the presentation that you showed in the background, can I get that and have that for a link on my 4 p.m. email today?
You bet.
Okay, guys. So then that means sure. But you know what, Jayson, you were talking a lot about certain slides that I was seeing in certain models and certain sizes that I didn't actually see illustrated, but I want everybody on this presentation to know that we can find that either reviewing the video or viewing the slideshow.
Yep, or you can look at sonypremiumhome.com. We have all this info detailed there as well. So if you look through the models that are on our Sony Premium Home website, you'll be able to see what we've got out there currently available, be able to get speeds and feeds, cut sheets, specs, you name it. And it's all stuff that you could even email directly to your customer or send them a link to our website, because there's no buy it now button. There's no pricing information there. There's none of that there. So it's really an informational website for you, for our customers to be able to reference and get that info and help you guys make the sale. Got it.
We've got Brian Johnson has a question for you, my man. Brian here from Dynamic Sound Systems in Carlsbad. What is the first that has the CalMan capabilities?
Hey, Brian. I know Brian quite well. Dude's a good guy. So, obviously nobody's going to DSS to buy anything that's probably on the call, but definitely a great place to go and get AV gear from. So CalMan is available on everything with 120 hertz panel, so X900H and up. And then if we go back to last year, we're talking about like 900F or 850F and higher, 850G, that sort of thing. That's kind of where that feature set starts. A lot of the sets have the capability to do CalMan, but the 60 hertz panels are limited to what features are supported by CalMan. You really need to get up into a 120 hertz panel to maximize that capability.
He said, sweet, thanks for the plug. All right.
Yes, sir.
Jace, why don't you take, before we get out of here, one real quick, what are we going to be covering next week exactly?
Awesome. So next week, we're going to be doing a technical deep dive. So I know today was a lot of weatherman and a lot of gesturing to the screen here behind me, but there'll be no PowerPoint next week. Next week is going to be a technical deep dive. So if you're a sales guy that's also an engineer, or you're an engineer that's also an integrator, or you want to know some of the things that are kind of hidden in the sauce, or some cool features about Sony products that maybe you've never seen before, that's really what next week's session is going to be about. So we'll go a deep dive into picture settings in the TV. So we'll kind of do a greatest hits of the phone calls that I take and emails that I take on Sony TVs on a regular basis. We'll take a look at some of the resources that are available to you guys, like the e-support page or Sony Premium Home, as I mentioned. We'll also take a look at some of the software that we've got for calibrating projectors, and just we'll really try to pack in as much information as we can into that, hour and 15 minutes of time, so that hopefully we can brush you guys up on some of the technical details that are changing and improving with our gear to make sure you're taking advantage of all of those capabilities when you're out there in clients' homes and doing jobs.
Sounds great, bud. All right, so guys, what we're talking about is next week, next Friday, 9 a.m., same place, same channel, actually different registration button. If you haven't already registered, it'll be on my email tonight. As we just learned, the slide deck will be on my email tonight, as well as a full recording of today's session. Man, that was fantastic. And I see a lot of dealers here. I see my Vegas guys, Adam and Eddie Bloom was on here today. Al Patel, thank you guys so much. You saw a lot of my Volume crew, but this also went out to everybody. We're talking all net. So, all around the country, we are the Snap AV local distribution network, if you will. We're all talking the same language here. I will definitely make sure that your questions get addressed. I'll make sure that you have somebody to address this stuff with over the next week or so. I know at Volume we have a little campaign going, so please fill out that survey as Jayson described earlier. It's kind of a VIP, your voice, etc. We're going to get that back. We're looking for a couple of hundred entries there, and they really do listen.
We do.
Yeah, you do. I mean, every year that you've come out, you've talked about what added features came from the CI channel.
Everything, IP control, serial control, rear IR inputs on TVs. We keep fighting that fight for you guys so that when you get out on a job site, those things don't get abandoned. You might have seen them drop off of a TV for a year. Guess what? It came back to the TV because we yelled and kicked and screamed so much. They heard so much noise about it. So, we're going to continue to keep those features in there and add new features that you guys are asking for. So again, when you see those surveys, you want to see better Sony AVR product that is more appropriate to the systems you guys are doing now, fill out that form, send that info in. We'd really love to get your input so we can cook up the best AVR cake that we can chef up in our oven.
Eloquently put, my man.
That was really easy for me to say, I'll tell you.
So there you go, guys. From all of us, thank you so much. You're going to see my email. You got the survey, a link there. You got a link. Please register for next weekend's or next Friday's detailed deep dive. And for Volume, providing you do those 2 links for me, that is going to get you into contention to get a 65-inch Sony from me over Memorial Day weekend. So, hey, that's from Volume. But from all of us, Snap AV, MRI, AllNet, Volume and Custom Plus, Jayson, we all thank you so much, my man. Great job.
Thank you guys so much for making some time for us. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate all your support, and hopefully looking forward to seeing lots of you guys next Friday.
Let's do it. Memorial Day weekend. We'll see you guys next week.
All right. Take care, guys. Have a good weekend.